So over the last few weeks, I've been reflecting on the topic of resistance. And I think a lot of people associate certain things as equating to resistance. So for example, anger equals resistance, not good enough equals resistance, maybe certain circumstances equal resistance. And the realization that I had is that none of those things are actually resistance. What makes them resistance is our resistance to them. And I'd love to hear your take on that.
You're right at it. There's contrast, which is variety. And then there's asking, which is launching that rocket, that intention, that desire that your inner being then holds as poignant, powerful, non-diluted focus. Pure focus on what you're asking for with no particles of not having it. Your inner being sees it purely, and from that non-physical perspective knows it completely, and the law of attraction then responds to that. So there is this becoming of what you've asked for. There aren't even words to describe the power of that. It's the same energy that creates worlds, and you have it at your fingertips, and you've asked for something, and that same kind of power is amassing cooperative components. So there's that. Yes, you see it, you get the sense of it. And then there's you in your human mind in relationship to that, and what's going on between where you are and that is the allowing or the resistance, which is precisely what you just said. We just said it with a few more words. That's what it is. Resistance is that gap between the vibrational frequency of what you've asked for that is given already. You ask and it is given, and where you are in terms of letting it in. And it's such a delicious thing, because your life is going to keep you asking. So this is going to keep becoming more and more and more, and more cooperative components on more subjects are going to be amassed for you, because you are a master of creation. And then your work, and the reason that your guidance system even is because your guidance system, your emotions, are your indicators of your level of allowance or resistance. Best discussion ever. You're right.
For me, I think what's helped me achieve that non-resistant state more than ever over the last few months is just the idea or the vibration of stop trying. For me, dropping into the feeling of just stop trying creates so much ease.
Well, think about the importance of that understanding. You don't create through effort and trying. You create through asking and allowing. Humans have been justifying their existence through trying really hard for a long time and perpetuating more and more resistance, so much so that they make statues to those who have suffered the most. If you're living too good of a life, don't talk out loud, because they're not going to like you that much for it. So many people really equate struggle and pain with gain. And so once you step into this understanding of how the universe works, and you accept, which maybe takes a little practice for some of you, you accept your lovely worthiness, and then you realize that what you really are is a chooser, a pointer, a focuser, a calibrator, someone who is keenly aware of the way you feel. Yeah.
And what practical advice would you have for people who are looking to live a more resistant-free reality?
We would like to say first that resistance is not a bad thing. Resistance is always necessary in the experience of an eternal creator, because you're always reaching just beyond where you are. So the potential of not being ready for what you've just asked for is ever present. So the relaxing into the perfection of step 1 and step 3, step 1, 2, 3, relaxing into that as it's a good thing, it's a right thing. When we first began explaining this to Esther, and she was really starting to get it, and something wonderful would happen, she said, I did that. And when something not so wonderful would happen, she would say, I did that too. And the letting the resistance be all right and the understanding that I am a calibrator that is calibrating to something that is less and less and less resistance, which was the whole point of the emotional scale that we talk about, so that you can feel your levels of resistance. But you ask the perfect question in the middle of the perfect conversation: what practical advice would we give? And here it is. It's newly offered too. So something happens and you can feel your resistance because you're irritated at least, and furious at most, or terrified at most. In other words, you're having an emotional response as the indicator of resistance. Well, that indication could not even happen if there were not this completed gathering of cooperative components. In other words, your conversation, your best conversation ever about resistance, your emotions couldn't even be if there were not resistance that caused it to be. So every emotion that you feel is about your allowing or resisting being what this recent experience has caused you to be. So the practical encouragement that we are offering is, so something happens and you feel some negative emotion, fill in the blank, whatever you want it to be here, which means that's where you're focused right now. And it's okay that that's where you're focused, because you live in a world, you've got eyes, you've got ears, you have sensors, you are aware of your environment, and here you are participating in something, and let's say naturally, but you don't want to escalate it, and you don't want to keep it going, and you don't want it to be more if it doesn't feel good. And so what you do is you say, well, I'm currently, I can tell by the way I feel, because my emotions are giving me the indicator of my level of resistance. I can feel that I have some resistance going on here because of where I'm focused. I'm going to focus on existing matches to my vortex. Not existing matches to what is. That's what's got me all wadded up here. Not existing matches to what that one and that one and that one and that one say is true or say I should do. No. It's existing matches to who I really am, to the fullness of who I really am. So what's an existing match? It's something that feels really good when you think about it. And the reason that we say existing matches, not something you're still striving for or hoping for. There's resistance in those subjects. No, something that's easy, like that bird, that tree, that waterfall, that fragrance, that delicious memory, that easy match. That easy match. Just focus on the easy match, and you'll get so within seconds you can stop the escalation of the resistance and begin the escalations of the allowance.
So a good way to perceive resistance would be as a bouncing off point to a better thought. If you're an empowered creator, if you're aware of what you're consciously practicing and what you're
that's right, but you put an important word in, the word that Jerry put in all the time with us, practical. Practical meaning it's at my fingertips and it will occur to me and it will be easy to do. The reason that we're softer than that, we're just saying reach for an existing match. Reach for an existing match. What's working for me right now, really? What's working for me? What's working for me? And it has to be meaningful to you. So it can be something that you didn't have that you accomplished. It could be that lover that you wanted and didn't have and suffered over, but then figured it out and now you've got it. It could be anything, but an existing match, something that's easy to find and easy to feel, something that's already has a good deal of momentum to it, so that once you focus on it, it sucks you in easily, because you just find a little bit of it and you become the immediate match to it. And as soon as you match up with your inner being, this is something really, we've not said this in this way before. Once you match up, once you calibrate to who your inner being really is, the momentum of that now escalation, that now trending and momentum, it really moves fast. And in this world today, you chose it and you know it, and it's a good thing, not a bad thing. But that negative trending, that moves fast too, because of the amount of people that are worried and focused and pushing against a lot of things. It is in no way comparable to the source energy calibration, but it's big. It's like in a room like this is near perfection in terms of audio in this room. These are masters at accomplishing that. This is not an easy room to balance sound in, but look what they did. And in a less balanced environment, somebody might very well be riding a knob, because as we begin to get exuberant and louder, there is the potential of a sort of ringing that happens, and then an immediate adjusting to bring it back into balance. And it's like that. You're sort of riding your knob to keep the sound system from squealing. That's what you're doing by, first of all, having your hand on the knob, by knowing that there is one, by knowing that you are in charge of it and that you get to control your level of yeah.
Yeah, sounds a lot like playing music on a DJ deck.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Good?
Yeah, it's been a blast again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Really good.
'Cause I've been meditating and I know that I'm loved. I've been speaking words of wisdom. Abraham, Esther, Jerry, and Joe Dispenza.